A message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep, sticking it to him. I need a crib
Like I'm Gatsby.
I
Need
need it in
it.
hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do, and they can't compete, and I got nothing to lose. You see, they told me I'm the one that's gonna benefit. Never been a threat. Talking out of line, but never.
What's good, everybody? Back in the building with my guy Josh, aka could have been an NBA player.
Never.
During All-Star breaks when he was younger, was an NBA player.
That is correct. That is very correct.
So this is why we get along, bro, because you were an NBA player and I'm a professional UFC fighter. When I'm out at a bar and girls don't know the difference.
You got to get at least half a cauliflower ear, though. That's going to be the prerequisite.
Nah, yo. So I've come to the conclusion that I don't want it.
And I'm proud of you because that's a good thing not to want. That's good. Gives you a little bit too much edge.
I also feel like I might be more dangerous than the people with the cauliflower ear because they don't know that I'm dangerous.
No, that's that. Look,
Right? Like if I had a busted up nose and cauliflower, you'd be like, yo, don't fuck with that guy. But now you see me kind of a little pipsqueak, like, this guy is a square. He's not gonna do nothing. And then before you know it, you're staring up at the stars. You got choked out. So this is how I interpreted being a martial artist.
Well, I'll say this: you are 100% the reason why I do not fight anyone in Vegas because you do not know anyone's level of training, and you will be in a real fight that you did not see coming, and it's like, yo, this was not supposed to be this hard. So no, you're 100% correct. I leave everyone alone in Vegas. Trust me.
Yo, you ain't kidding, bro. Like even some people that like, I have a couple friends like in the bottle service industry and like even bus boys are like black belts in jiu-jitsu. You're like, holy shit.
Leave people alone, man. I've broken up way too many fights in Vegas at the gym where people didn't see it coming. And it was like, hey, bro, you didn't see my man dropping the stance? You still out here like, oh, F you, like, my man's about to give you a roundhouse of your life. Like, leave it alone.
Bro, the coldest thing ever. I was out with Jared one time, Jared Gordon in the UFC. We were out at a bar like locally, and he don't drink, but he was just hanging out with everyone. And someone started like pressing him about some stuff, and he was just like, "Yo, you sure about that?" I was like, "Damn, that's a cold ass line." Or someone is like, "Hey, man, are you sure you want to do this?" Like that might make me, because everyone else is usually like shirt is off, like let's go, bro.
Yeah.
I see red, bro. But when they're like calm. And they tell you, hey, man, you sure you want to do this? That's when I'm like, I apologize for just whatever I did to you. My bad.
Now, see, and look, so there's that kind of fighter, which is scary. And then there's the kind of fighters that I hang around that they're exactly what you think and they go on 12. And it's like, bro, like, I promise you it was not that serious to come to blows. We did not need to fight. This was unnecessary. We could have de-escalated this about 12 minutes back.
Yeah.
But it kept raising and raising. But like, man, I will say they are some of the coolest dudes, these fighters, but some of them have that trigger where it's like when it's gone, there's no stopping them because they can it literally will turn into Jason Statham around here and it'll be real ugly.
I mean, bro, we've talked about it like in the NBA too, about how all the fans, they'll be heckling some of these athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, shit, anyone that knows me knows that Malice at the Palace, top 5 sporting event of all time. I think it's very important. I think it should be shown on TV as a commercial during games. Like, this is an important event in American history because there's some people, and when you call them a punk-ass bitch or whatever it is, or like, I'm not even throwing out racial slurs because I'm sure not everyone is being polite when they're
for sure.
insulting, because we went over this, how yo, he's with us, or like, good shot, and it's an air ball. Like that's playful, bro. People could deal with that. But when you start dropping racial slurs or someone's mother or their child, that's where it gets out of hand. And there's some people, that's why Malice at the Palace is such an important event, because there's some people that they don't give a fuck. Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, he didn't care. Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal.
Steven Jackson, when he ran in those stands and he hit that man with everything he had in that right hand, at that point I knew that was my guy from then on.
Bro, the best was the one dude. I think he was like a little heavy set, and he's like laughing the whole time, and then he realizes that he's coming close. He's like, oh. It's like, that's what happens, bro. This is exactly what happens. There's some people that you can't be combative with them with words because they're short-fused and they'll slap you.
And you forget that these players are like double your height.
Yeah.
So it's like if you really want to get mad at somebody and then they're like double your height and you start looking like the child in that situation, it's not a winning battle, I will say that.
Bro, and you know, like you bring up a good point because we were talking about this yesterday. I was at the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. One of my good friends, Shane Shapiro, he was competing at that. But we were talking about Steph Curry. And like all the guys that I train with, like I would say casual sports fans is like underselling. Sorry, overselling, I should say. Overselling the term casual sports. Like they're not sports guys at all.
Okay.
They like UFC, they like fighting. That's about it. But the topic of Steph Curry came up, and I don't know how we got there, but we were talking about how, oh, this is what it was. Sorry. So we're looking at the fighters coming out, right? And we're like, damn, bro, this person's 6'2", and they don't look that big. And then you'll see someone else that's 6'2", and you're like, holy shit, they look like 6'8", right? Like just like the optics of it because of their build, whatever it might be. And then from there, we spiraled down this road and we started talking about Steph Curry. And I was like, yo, the coolest thing about Steph Curry is that I can never envision being LeBron because I'm not 6'8", I can't dunk.
Yeah.
But it's more likely that I could be a Steph Curry. I could just be an amazing shooter.
Yes.
Because everyone does that, right? Like, is there athletic? There's levels of athleticism, but shooting a jump shot, it's not as athletic as like tomahawking.
1,000%.
Right? And we're talking about Steph Curry, and I'm like, yo, you know what's crazy? You don't realize how big these guys are until you like meet them. And, you know, being at the studio at the Win, we've had like Rasheed Wallace come in, Al Harrington, and you're looking at it, you're like, yo, bro, this is what 7 foot looks like. This is what 6'8" looks like. And then you think of Curry looks so small in comparison to them.
Yeah.
But then Curry's 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, yeah. He's not small. He's not a small dude for sure.
And it's always funny when you hear people talk about like, oh, he's, you know, the little guy, Steph Curry. It's like, bro, every picture he takes with people, he towers over them. It's just that, yeah, bro, everyone would look short if you're 6'2" and every other person in the photo is 6'8", 6'9",
yeah,
you're gonna look tiny.
That's right.
But he's not.
and back to the Malice in the Palace, these dudes are 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, yeah, when you see me charging at you, there's a different level of energy that goes into that. But your boy Shane, you were saying something about he grabbed the mic and went full WWE.
Cut a promo. And yo, you know what's crazy, bro? So the weeks building up to this, and this is like a microcosm of life, and even with podcasting too, just in general, man. I feel as if you put in the work, right, and you're confident in your abilities, I don't like going around telling people that I'm the man. But if someone says it on my behalf, I'm not gonna be like, no, stop, don't say that. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Like, it's true. Right? Every opportunity I've ever gotten has been because someone asked me about my abilities on the microphone, behind the microphone, editing, whatever it might be. And then when they ask me about it, because of the time and the work I've put in, that's when I'll speak up and be like, yo, I don't think there's anyone better. I think I'm the 1% of 1% of 1% when it comes to behind and in front of the camera. And the reason why I say all this is the build up to Shane's match. He was 2-0 on the Fight Pass Invitational. He submitted Touchy Feely, Andre Feely.
Okay.
That's his nickname, Touchy
That's
Feely.
his nickname?
Yeah. And then
That's pretty good.
And then Bobby Green on the Fight Pass Invitational, right?
Oh,
so Shane is 2-0 on that. But like Shane, he's had some stuff in his personal life, and he hasn't been as active the last couple of years. And he just fought in December and, you know, stopped the guy in the second round. And now he's on this thing. And I told him, I was like, yo, bro, if you grab the mic, like, you got to say some wild shit. He's like, for real? I was like, yeah, bro, you got to be remembered. Like, no one, listen, man, it's important to be humble. I get that. But, like, sometimes you got to make a statement, right? Like, how did Nate Diaz get popular?
Started getting
wild. Fuck that. Conor McGregor, you took it, right? Like, that's what, and yo, look.
That's true.
That all comes from, and the reason why I told Shane, I was like, yo, bro, and this goes for everybody. I'm just using Shane as an example and like this podcasting shit as an example. I'm like, bro, don't grab the mic and say the same shit. You're going to be forgotten. Like, oh, I think my team, I thank my coaches, my brother, and my gym, and all glory and all this shit. I'm like, no, bro, don't do that. You gotta grab the mic and like be like, yo, no one could fuck with me, bro. When I'm on, no one could fuck with me, and that's what he did.
Yeah,
place went crazy, and then this is a personal thing after, but someone went up to him that's of high status and was like, I loved what you did out there.
Yeah,
you stood out, and it's like, yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, it's important to be that, but when you put in the work behind something, bro, and someone asks you how you feel about your stuff, that's how you got to respond.
I see. I'm always so humble, but I'll just be like, I'm out here. You know what I mean? Like I won't go so. I don't know. It's just never. It's never really been my way. I've never.
Well, my way's never. I've never been like that too, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying like there's certain. And
There's
like I said, right? Like
there's times.
I think the quote is, if you're good, you tell everyone about it. If you're great, other people say it for you.
Yeah.
So like I'm not going around telling people like, yo, no one's like me on the mic.
Yeah.
But when I'm interviewing for a job,
Yes.
or when I'm being asked to represent a company or anything like that, you have to put your foot down and be like, yeah, bro, this is my shit.
No, you're right.
Because I've been doing this for 8.5 years and I put the time in, right? Like you've put the time into your show. When someone asks you about it, you got to be your co-sign, your editor, your producer, your director, all that shit. You have to wear all those hats in the beginning. And if you're not going out there to tell people about it, who's gonna?
Yeah. No, 1,000%.
You ain't got no agent or manager, bro. I don't. Like I still do that.
Yeah. No, I've been the agent and the manager and the behind the scenes and the behind of the behind the scenes. So you're 100% correct. You do have to be willing to at least speak on your behalf, especially when you don't have other people doing it for you. You know what I mean? Right now, neither of us have, secretaries or people that are doing the running. We still have to go and do the running. And I think that's really, you've hit the point where now you have more elements in place. But I think that's the final frontier, is like when you have somebody that their job is simply to go get us money. That's when I know we've hit the next point. You know what I'm saying? When it hits that, all bets are off. Because at that point, money's always going to be fine. Like we're always going to keep, like I have someone in place that their job is to get us money. You know what I mean? Because it is hard to sell. Like when you're the host, you're the, I hate using the word CEO. You're the managing partner of your business. It is hard to go out there and it's always you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, if it was so big, then why are you calling me? But the second someone else calls and then say, hey, I have this show, this is what it is, it just adds another layer of, oh, well, they have, this person's the director of marketing. It just changes the level of the conversation.
Yeah, man. Optics go a long way. Perspective go a long way. And even before I got to Vegas, I always treated my show like it was the biggest show out there. Yeah. And I still continue to do that. You just have to. And delegating was a word that I learned and applied in 2023. And it's worked wonders because you have people running certain things and you have people assigned to certain areas that then allows you or myself, for example, to be just
freed up.
Let's make sure the content is good. Let's make sure the topics are dope and engaging. Make sure Josh is interested in the topics. Make sure George or Impy or whoever it is, Alan, is calling on the show, that they're interested too. So I just wanted to use the Shane thing as an example for just how you should represent yourself, right? Like if you go to a job interview, I've always felt like, yo, you got to do some shit that they're going to remember, bro. I remember, I'll tell you last story and then we'll get into some of the topics because I know I do like kind of these conversations too because I think it's important. But before I dropped out of Queens College, I went to one of those like, when you were in college, you ever have those teachers that'll be like, hey, if you just, the speaker is coming to talk to the school, if you show up and show us proof that you showed up, you'll get an A on the midterm.
Oh,
or like
sure.
on the quiz or whatever it might be, right?
Not a question.
So we had this like Fortune 500 dude, guy was worth like $900 million, right? And he came to talk to all of us and, entrepreneur bro, kind of the whole nine. I'm in sweatpants, hoodie, sandals on. That's how checked out I was school. I had just started content creating and everyone's asking, I'm like, what do you look for in an intern? What is this? What is that? I just stood up and I was just like, hey, man, I really don't want to talk just like this, too. I was like, I don't need no business advice or anything, but, you know, my dad's self-employed. He made all my soccer games growing up, all my practices. What's your relationship like with your family? Because family's really important to me. Money's obviously important, too. But, like, do you have any balance? Do you have anything, like, because he mentioned in his introduction, I have 3 kids, this and that. Yo, he spent the most time on my question. And after the lecture, everyone's going up to him. Yo, he made a beeline for me. He's like, what's your name, son? I was like, Nick. He's like, you know, what are you doing, this and that? I was like, yo, honestly, I'm about to drop out. He was just like, I was like, yeah, I kind of just, you know, I do this podcast and all that stuff. And
this is before podcasting was really big.
Yeah, this was in 2015.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, all the times that I've been asked questions, no one ever asked me about my personal life like that. I was like, yeah, bro. I was like, money's whatever. But I was like, you know, it was always cool for me when I would see my parents at my games.
1,000%.
Or present.
Yeah.
And, you know, having these experiences with people with money, they're like never there for their families too.
Yeah.
In some aspects. I don't want to generalize. I don't like doing that. But
by and large,
yeah. You got to make sacrifices, right? Work-life balance. We hear about that shit all the time. But I don't know, man. It was something that I applied that moment in my life with everything. Like, yo, you got to say some shit to, like, stand out. When I do interviews with people for the first time, within the first 5 minutes, notice any pod we ever do with people, I drop an F-bomb right away. I curse right away. No, but because it sets the tone for the show that, like, oh, it's going to be, it's different.
it's a little loose.
It's looser. I could put my guard down. I was all the way guarded up. Now I could drop my hands a little bit. I feel more comfortable. It's going to be a different kind of conversation than it is an interview.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, it's interesting because, listen, everyone has a different style. Everyone has a different way of getting to the goal, right? And, you know, by and large, what you've been doing is working, man. It's continuing to continue and, you know, just continue to reap the benefits of the movement and the forward progression. So, to your point, yeah, we've all had those moments with, you know, in school and kind of your, oh, this is it, your aha situation. For me in college, it was stumbling into the wrong class. Like I took a senior level class as a freshman as kind of a joke because I needed a sports credit and didn't realize I was taking a major sports credit, and I had seniors cheating off of me as a freshman. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I was like, oh, well, this might be my path. Because at that point, I was undecided. I went to college thinking about being a doctor. Got to college and was like, 8 more years? That ain't happening. We'll have to figure something else out. And so that's how I got into sports. My brothers had always told me, hey, you should do this. You should think about being an agent. You should think about doing these things. And at the time, I hadn't really given it much thought until, like, literally I fell into it. And that's how it happened. I just stumbled into a class.
Damn, bro, that's dope. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Yo, it's crazy, right? Like, you hear, like, the 8-year mark or 10 years, and then you realize, like, yo, I'll be 33. Well, when this does go up, it'll be my birthday. But
still a baby.
Yeah, I'll be 33, right? And it's like, damn, bro, when I was 22, not that I wanted to be a doctor by any stretch, but it was never something I would ever, that or like law school, because like you got to go extra. Like, damn, bro, another 3 years, another 5 years, 6 years, whatever it might be. But then you think about it, you're like, I didn't really start making money until 8 years of podcasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of takes about 10, bro. When we had, you weren't on there for that show, but George and I had, shouts to Jack Settleman from Snapback Sports. He said something that really resonated with me. He's like, yo, bro, if I know someone's going to dedicate 10 years of their life, and I know it seems like a lot, 10 years of their life to that one thing, I'd bet the house on them to be successful. It's like, yo, if you think about it, like, you ever heard of Outliers, the book Outliers?
Yeah. Yeah.
The 10,000 hour rule?
Yep.
Kind of applies to that, bro.
Yeah, look, you have to put in the time. It's interesting. One of my friends, actually from New York, hit me up earlier and was like, "How do you do?" Like, he's thinking about getting in a podcast and he wants to at least do it once. And he's like, did you just get good at it? Was it natural to you? And I was like, bro, I've been doing this literally for 10 years now, almost, give or take. Between my show or other shows, I started with My brother Jerome and I had a show, and it was more rigid, but I had to. That's how I learned how to do show flows. I had to type out everything. I had to type out our script. I had to type out what we were going to talk about. And then I did a podcast show, and that was more free flowing. And I was like, oh well, this is different, but it's nice. It's live. You know what I'm saying? Those elements. And then now, bleeding into my show, and all of that has come forth on camera, because it's once you've done it so much. I don't know about you, but I have rules in my mind, just in terms of talking, and and a lot of that has come through time. When I was doing the show with Jerome, we had a producer, and the phrase was pregnant pause. We can't have any pregnant pauses. So like, that was ingrained from the very beginning. Like, you have to, whether you have a thought, if you're trying to search for a thought, you still have to keep engaging in the midst of you trying to figure it out. And a lot of times for me, if I can't remember a name, like you'll see it. Like, if I can't remember a name, I'll just power through and just be like, yeah, that guy. Keep moving, because I don't want any pregnant pauses. I'll figure it out later, or someone else can tell me. But yeah, it just comes with time. Just comes with time.
Yeah, let me ask you, staying on this topic, how do you feel about what do you think you learned from podcasting that you've applied to like your day-to-day life?
What have I learned? Man, just keep going. The biggest thing, that I've found from a lot of my friends that have become bigger on social and just platforms in general is consistency. That hasn't bled into all aspects of my life, but just in terms of getting things out there, continuing to continue, even when you don't see the rewards that you want all the time, continuing to put it out there, because all it takes is that one match to just keep striking and keep firing up something else. But I think definitely the consistency.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's weird. Like, I have a lot of friends that ask me about like starting a podcast or creating a podcast. I'm just like, yeah, bro, good. Like, you realize though after that it's not just recording and shooting the shit. I mean, now we're kind of shooting the shit, but we also did talk about where we would take the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I think the one thing that has helped me the most is like, I've become a really good listener. It's a compliment I get a lot of times when I go out on like dates. Girls will be like, wow, you're a great listener. It's like, this is kind of what I do for like a living. Because like, bro, I didn't go to school for any of this. So I didn't know how to properly interview or ask people questions.
Yeah.
I used to legit have like the 8 questions I'm going to ask Josh on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then I'd ask you a question, and I would legit tune out. I'm like, oh, I asked the question. I don't need to do anything else. And then when you finished, I wouldn't even elaborate or ask you to like, hey, what'd you mean by that?
Yeah.
And then I would just want to get to question 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then it just was whack for me when I would listen back. Because in the beginning, bro, I used to listen to all the shows back.
I like almost never can.
Oh,
I'll listen literally to clip, or I'll try and remember or recall a moment.
Right.
It's like, that was a good stretch.
Right.
Something was going on.
No, to this day, the only times I listen to my content is when I have a guest on for the first time that I've never had on.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. Bill Krakenberger and Warren Sharp, when we had them on, I listened to that one. Even though I always do listen because I'm editing and shit, but I mean, like, at the gym, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what was the flow. What can I correct myself on? What did I ask that Josh asked a better question to, but then I didn't follow up on? Like, just was our timing? Were you and I overstepping on one another? You know, just shit like that. So to this day, I'll listen. Anytime I have a guest on, I'll listen to that, especially when it's the first time. I did that with you also. Did that with you. I literally do that with everyone. Now, eventually, I'm not listening back to like the show that you and I do, but in the beginning, I was listening to everything. Yeah. And then I would say to myself, yo, trial and error. Of course, I wasn't doing this. I wasn't groomed to do this. But I always knew that I was going to do some shit in sports. I was always a sports dude growing up. And as I would listen back to the shows, bro, I would say to myself, like, this shit is whack. Yeah. And it's whack for the audience, too. If it's whack for the host, then it's whack for the audience.
It's interesting because sometimes I'll feel like, you know, like today's show that I had, I can tell that just the energy level of what's going on right now in sports is down right now. Because we don't have, next week it probably will heighten back up because we're starting to talk March Madness.
Why do you think the energy level's down?
Well, just because now, listen, there's no more playoffs, there's no more football. Football is like every week is its own, own season essentially. Whereas now that we're in the kind of the doldrums of, it's March in hockey and basketball, and and now it's about to be March Madness for college, so that is going to start getting some energy just because everyone's eyes will be on it. But just I could feel that the episode was like, it's still solid. Like, I mean, my mom hit me up and was like, "You're so good," and I was like, "Thanks, Mom." Like, but she doesn't watch every episode, so the fact that she watched it, I was like, okay. But but you can tell, like, as a host, you feel when we were talking over each other. Like, there's things like that I don't think people really understand how much give and take it is just in terms of having a good show. Because you don't want to be talking over each other. You don't want to restate. So if we're interviewing someone, you don't want to be asking the same generic question over and over again. But yeah, for me, I still have my questions. Things obviously come up organically, but I definitely have, a solid 15, 20 questions that I want to get out there, especially if some are insightful. Or, for instance, when I had Randall Cunningham on, I brought up a story about a kid that we both coached. And so he didn't know that that's how I initially knew him, was that I had to let this kid not be at practice half the time because I knew she was training to go to the Olympics and go to college for track. So it was like, well, I can't really, I just gotta, Randall, got it. You know what I'm saying? And so he was excited just to hear her name. So just little stuff like that.
Nah, it's dope, man. I love that you bring that up because also when I first had Eric Nixick on the show, the first thing I told him, I was like, yo, you have one of my favorite social media posts ever. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. He's like, what was it? And I told him about when he was in Abu Dhabi for Fight Island, my buddy Jared Gordon, I was talking about before, his whole corner got COVID.
Yeah.
So he had no cornerman. That was when Paul Felder left the commentary to go corner Jared in between one of the fights.
Oh, wow.
And then he asked Nixick, and he had never cornered him before. And Jared goes on to win a decision, like a 30-27. And Nixick put up a post. He's like, yo, it says a lot. He's like, this was one of the coolest moments of my life and very humbling that a guy like Jared, who he's been to my gym and we have a relationship, but not to the point and the trust that, dude, you're fighting now. And to have this guy that's never cornered you, doesn't know your tendencies. And he was just like, yo, what's the game plan that you have with your coaches? This, and this. All right, cool. Let's go out there and execute it. And like, that was dope, But then how I was saying before about like dropping the curse word right away, they kind of put their guard down because now there's a connection that's more organic, and it's kind of cool too. Yeah, that you have this player that you and him coached that he didn't know about. Yeah. So, man, I like these conversations, bro. I feel like we could have dedicated a whole pod to this, but I do want to dive into some of the stuff going on in the sports world. And one of them I want to ask you is about the idea of unwritten rules. And the reason why I ask this is because, dude, there's like a handful of basketball games a month that I go out my way to make sure I watch. Okay. Right? Mavericks Suns, first game Thursday night after the All-Star break. You have that rivalry between Booker and Luka, and the Mavs and Suns kind of don't really fuck with each other. And also, I did financially bet on Luka, and because of the video, I was like, yo, bet Luka now because he might drop 40, and then the odds are going to get cut in half, and then it played out exactly like that. So patting ourselves on the back for that. But, dude, the reason why I bring that up is because Warriors and Celtics over the weekend, I felt like that was a game that, it's a finals rematch from not too long ago. Yeah. Celtics, best team in the league record-wise. Now you have the Warriors in that play-in zone. They beat the shit out of the fucking Warriors, bro. They beat them by like, what, 52, I think it was? Yeah. The biggest blowout in the Curry era. I feel like it has to be one of the biggest blowouts in NBA history, right? Like, how many people lose by 50, bro?
I mean, with teams of that stature, I mean, because think of it this way: in the finals, the biggest loss was the Jazz versus the Bulls when they beat them by like 56. Like it doesn't happen But so does Steph Curry going 0 for 9 from 3, only ending up with 4 points. Like those things, it was a rough one. It was a rough one. What were some of the unwritten rules that were broken in the game? That you saw?
but hold on real quick. Biggest blowouts in NBA history.
Okay.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
73 points. Memphis beat the Thunder 152-79 in 2021.
Thank God that wasn't my Wizards. I just felt a Bullets
had-
flashback. I was like, here come the Bullets.
The Heat lost by 68 in 1991. Great year, by the way. The Pacers beat the Blazers by 65.
Yep.
Lakers beat the Warriors by 63. Mind you, these are all in like the 90s and the 70s. The one mentioned, the biggest one in NBA history was in 2021.
Yeah.
And then you just had one earlier this year, January, 62-point win by the Thunder. And then you have this Warriors game. So like the unwritten rules, right? Should a team still be shooting 3-pointers up 50?
No.
Are you rubbing it in? Like, do you? So as a coach, right? My coach growing up used to be like, "Yo, if you step on the field with us, you are giving us the right to beat the shit out of you." And we need to accept that we could be on the receiving end. Bro, I've been on the side of a 49-0 win. And I've been on a 52-7 win.
Yep.
And guess what? We scored the first touchdown of the game. Right? So
52 straight unanswered.
So
points.
I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
And both sides kind of suck.
Yeah.
One sucks more.
One becomes laughable. Well, they both become laughable because sometimes you just be laughing at how bad this game is.
Right.
And then other times you be laughing at you blowing the other people out this bad.
So like the thing my coach would say is like, yo, look, football, for example, we're not going to be throwing up 40.
Yes.
We'll run the ball, backup running back. We're just going to hand off the rest of the game. And if they can't stop it, so be it. But we're not going to go 4 wide shotgun snaps and airing it out. Like, no, that was an unwritten rule for him.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we're going to embarrass you, but like politely.
Yeah.
We're not going to rub it in like that. So how many times have you seen dudes up like 40? Running out the clock, they do a tomahawk dunk, and then like the bench is clear.
Zion Williamson, Zion did a windmill
like earlier this year.
Oh yes, but he's done it a few times.
Right. He's done that a few times.
Yeah.
And all of them is like when he just comes back off injury. So he's
like,
trying
bro,
to get
relax.
It out there. So yo, as a coach, and just as I want you to give me your coach's perspective, and as a fan, how do you feel about unwritten rules?
So for me as a coach, I literally was just saying this earlier on the show. My last undefeated team that I coached, I had a rule that we had to win by 40 because we were that much better than everyone. And I wanted to make sure we were prepared for the two teams that were not on our level but could beat us. And so it was like, we're not going to be sitting here sleepwalking through these games and you guys aren't dialed in for when the real wars come. Because these other teams were better than them. So let's go prove it. When we get up 40, I'll let y'all coast. But if y'all lose, we win by 38, I would run them to death. So it was called Boot Camp Monday, and they did not want a Boot Camp Monday. So, I mean, look, there's a way to do it and be respectful. I think the number is 50 for high school. If you're up 50 points, you have to write a letter.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Is this everywhere?
Well, at least in Nevada, and then Massachusetts, when I coached in Massachusetts too. Like when you win by 50. You're supposed to write a letter to the not to the school board, but to the administration of what you could have done or what you did do to prevent this game from getting worse. Because like the biggest thing I would say that I would do once we're up 20, once I'm up 25, we're not pressing anymore.
Right.
I'm not gonna keep pressing you.
So that's what I mean. That's what I mean by like unwritten rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's things like that where, yo, bro, don't all out blitz me. If I'm the team up 49-0, I'm not going to all out blitz the team that's down 49. Yeah. That's like, let's play prevent, right? Let's hand it off. That's what I mean by that. Let's punt. Yeah. Hey, it's 4th and inches, bro. We usually go for it and in the dead zone, right? The 40-40, but we're going to punt this one. That's what I mean by that. Now, if you continue to pick up first downs, so be it.
That's right.
Dude, you know who my favorite women's soccer player used to be?
Who?
Megan Rapinoe.
Yep, I love Meg.
Loved Megan Rapinoe. I
Yes.
thought she was a badass in like the early 2010s-ish, right?
Yeah.
You know when she lost me?
When?
2019 World Cup.
When she started doing this?
No, bro, I'm a wrestling fan. The Randy Orton pose was my shit. You know what
Okay.
I didn't like? When they were up 9-0 on Thailand and she scores the goal and she does a 20-second choreographed celebration. That's when I was like, bro, kind of read the room. That's kind of unnecessary. Especially someone like Rapinoe who she's been there, done that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a girl that was, 19 making her first World Cup and she was excited.
Right?
Yeah. Like, that's what I mean. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, Megan, you're better than that. You can't be doing that.
Sometimes I'm not better than that.
Sometimes you're not better. Hey, you know what? That's a fact too. So I feel you. But with the unwritten rules, right? Like in baseball.
Oh, baseball has the most.
Baseball has the most and it's the worst.
Do you want me to go through some of the baseball ones?
Yeah, good.
All right. So you don't steal bases, swing at a 3-0 pitch, or otherwise run up the score when you're up by a large margin. That's one. That's fair. That goes back to the rest of these that we're talking about. Don't steal bases or strut after home runs when behind by a large margin. So if you're already getting beat, go about your business. This game's over. We don't care about your home run. Don't swing at the first pitch after the pitcher has allowed back-to-back home runs. I did not realize that.
Huh.
I was like, wow. So the pitcher's in trouble. So I'm not supposed to make it worse and take a cut at this first meatball he's about to lob up. I want my home run too. So that one was interesting. I was like, okay, that's a good way to get beamed.
But there's also the other ones where if I hit a home run and I do pimp my celebration,
yeah,
probably catching 102 to the back,
straight in,
which is the wackest thing ever, bro. Like that shit drives me crazy.
Does it?
I get punished for doing something that's difficult to do in the course of the game.
This is baseball, baby. There's
That's
certain
the problem
rules.
with
There's
it,
certain
man.
rules.
Like
There's certain
that
rules.
shit is corny, bro. You're telling me, all right, yo, remember when Jose Bautista hit that like iconic home run?
Oh yeah, and he threw that bat into he put it into orbit.
Bro, I would have thrown the bat into their dugout, DX chopped the whole way. I would have done crazy shit. I just had the biggest moment of my career.
Yeah.
And the biggest stage. It's a playoff game. It's not May against the Devil Rays.
Yeah.
Right?
This was a playoff game to win the series.
To win the series.
That's right.
And I've been in the league for so long and I finally have this moment. And then I got to get punished for it because I know the next time I'm going to go up to that bat, they're going to target me. Like, that shit is corny.
They're going to try to throw the ball right at your
That's
hand.
the real problem with baseball. Not how long the game takes. Are you kidding me? I hit a home run to like win a series? Oh, dude, I'm doing the wildest shit. That was like PC what he did in comparison to what I'm doing. You're laughing. You don't think so? You wouldn't do that?
You're Pedro Soriano. You're here holding how big your nuts are. That's what we doing going back?
Bro, this is I hate this about sports so much, man, where when someone does an interview and they're too like they give you the lame answers, right? Like the PC, and they're like, "Oh, that team was very good that we played." Like, no, why is Richard Sherman remembered, bro? Because the moment the game ended, they put a microphone in front of his face. It's like, dude still has his shoulder pads on. Like, you gotta say some wild shit, like what I was talking about with Shane before.
Yeah,
like, those are memorable, bro.
What did he say? He said, "Don't you ever put a receiver like that, a sorry
receiver.
like Crabtree on me."
That's iconic.
Don't
bro.
try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree.
So if that was supposed to be something where he had to, like, it was like an unwritten rule to trash the opposition, like, nah, fuck that, dude. I want to be remembered. I want to do some iconic shit.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah, baseball does have a lot. Like, baseball's got just
Jesus, you got a whole
yeah. Don't bunt during a no hitter. That's like Bush League. That's Bush.
That's trolling.
That's Bush.
I kind of like that, bro.
That's Bush. If you do that, we are throwing the ball at you every opportunity we have in perpetuity. The second I see you come up and there's an open base, you're catching one to the kneecap. Forever. Especially if that was the ninth inning. I remember that happened. That happened and they threw the guy out with he slid into first and everything. He was trying to break up. He was trying to break up that no hitter.
Damn, you see, I don't look at that as a bad thing. I look at that as like grade A trolling. That's what I kind of look at that as, bro.
Oh man, yeah.
How about in fighting? Do you think there's any unwritten rules in fighting? I have a pet peeve that I have. I don't know if it's an unwritten rule, but I think it's a big pet peeve of mine in the fight game. because I do want to talk about the pay-per-view this weekend too, because I'm gonna be there too. So I feel like let's talk about some unwritten rules in the fight game. Do you have any?
Obviously, no low blows. Not unwritten, I don't think. You know what? Like, I guess there's certain things that are frowned upon. Like, you know, when you're bullying somebody, like especially in boxing, I'm not hitting you, I hit your arms. So like certain fighters are very tactful in how they attack your body. So I might not necessarily hit you. I might start like jabbing or punching at your arm itself. So now your arm slowly shuts down and you're not able to really fight the same way.
So you're not supposed to do that?
No, not really. It's one of those things that's frowned upon because it's like, yeah, that's dirty. It's dirty boxing in the terms of MMA. Is dirty boxing. What do you do in close? You start just hitting. You know what I mean? And then same thing in boxing. Like you're not really supposed to punch certain areas. Because like I'm not supposed to punch you in the leg type deal. That's low, but it happens. But you start slowing somebody down. There's ways to attack their body without attacking their body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've never heard about that one. I was thinking more so of like, and again, I don't know if it's unwritten rule, but you know, there was a famous fight with Beneil Dariush and Alex Hernandez where they kind of go to glove touch and he doesn't glove touch. He faked it and then like dropped him.
Yes.
And then he stopped Dariush in like 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a dick move there.
Floyd. When Floyd did that, forget the
Ortiz.
Victor Ortiz. Protect yourself at all times.
Yeah, those are, I don't think those are
That's
unwritten rules. I think those are just dick moves.
Yeah, well, that's probably an unwritten rule. Like you're supposed to, like, you know, because what did Ortiz do? He came in, you know, he hugged him to let him know that everything was okay. And as he's breaking, Joe, I forget the ref's name, Joe Ortega or something like that. He looks away, and Floyd gave him a 2-piece and a biscuit, and that was the good fight, good night. As Floyd said.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. I don't know about like the unwritten rules. I feel as if, you know, if you know that you've like eye poked someone or kicked them in the balls, and like you pursue it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I feel like that's like a respect and honor thing. Like if me and you are fighting, and I blatantly eye poke you, and I know I poked you, and like you're doing that, and the referee is like fight on. You know how like sometimes the referee, they might not judge it as a viable eye poke.
Yeah.
There, if I continue to pursue, like again, I feel like those are dick moves as opposed to unwritten rules.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
UFC 299 this weekend is going to be in Miami. I am going to the event. I'm excited. It is bro.
It's stacked.
Stacked is an understatement. Like,
Back-to-back really good cards, actually, because 300 is looking just stupid.
Oh, bro, yeah. And dude, even 298 was good. At least the main card was very, very good. Like the three, and I know this is recency bias, and you know, I wasn't watching UFC 47, so I don't know what the hype was around there, but in recent memory, man, I can't think of 3 consecutive pay-per-view main cards with this much like sex appeal.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
And then when you look at just like the prelims, I mean, Gamrot and RDA, Chukagian against Macy Barber, Blades Almeida. These are all headliner fight night cards. Yeah, because all of them have title implications. All of them are to be the #1 contender. Like these are all big fights, man. And then
I just pray Jailton doesn't lay on him for godforsaken 3 rounds.
Well, Blades at least has a wrestling background as opposed to Derek Lewis, so that one would surprise me.
I was so pissed over that fight.
Though, yeah, I know you were not happy about that.
That video did well, actually.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, man, and again, like George and I just released the hardest sports to play episode. If you guys haven't checked that out, that was up on Monday. And I made the case for the most difficult team sport is hockey to play. And then the most difficult individual sport is MMA.
See, I actually think golf.
Golf.
Yeah. Like, because MMA, there's still room for yourself in there. Like golf, everyone for the most part has a similar swing. Even if you have like a funky swing, like there isn't really room for improvisation. It's very
I
hard.
like this.
You know what I mean? It's very rigid. Now, granted, you're also not getting hit in the face, but like we know how taxing it can be to play golf, and then we're on a cart. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you actually are out there managing that terrain. It actually is. It's as I've gotten older, I look at it more and more as a daunting task. I'm like, yo, that's a lot of way. That's a long way to walk. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like, but I mean, it was so funny because it came up there. You know, I can't remember if it was ESPN or somebody put it up, and Izzy actually had commented, and he was like, yeah, it's cool unless you're getting kicked in the face. And I actually commented, I responded to him, and I was like, yeah, I still think it's golf, but you got a point. You know what I mean?
Well, I just think like with MMA, there's so many different styles and arts that you need to know also.
Yes.
And how you mentioned with Blades and Almeida. Look, Almeida took down Derek Lewis because he knew that he couldn't stand with him. And like, yo, bro, this is where I think you and I disagree on. And I feel like you should be agreeing with me because you have a lot of friends in the fight game.
Yeah.
And they don't get paid the best.
That's right.
Do what you can to win, bro.
Oh, yeah.
If you're an all-world striker and I'm
Yeah.
a D1 wrestler, or I'm from fucking Dagestan,
Yeah.
I'm going to take you down. Cousin Umar,
Yeah.
right? He fought last weekend. 30 seconds into that fight, he fought this new guy. He dropped him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm not doing that stand-up shit no more. And I'm just going to lay and pray.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
No problem with that because you get paid for winning.
Yeah. No, you get
So-
you get paid to show, and you get paid to win.
Yeah, so, bro, if it's not, listen, it might not be the most appealing thing in the world for a guy to just put you on the ground and control you like Almeida did in his last fight. Now,
Yeah.
with this fight, I don't think it's going to play out that way because Blades is one of the better wrestlers at heavyweight. But this whole card, I would describe it as potentially the change of the guard.
Mm.
You have a lot of fights like Almeida and Blades, right?
Yeah.
Blades has been there, done that, title shots. He's been a bona fide top 5 guy for what, 6 years now?
Yeah.
He's fighting Almeida. He's on the come up. You got Peter Yan opening the card. He's the former champion. He's on a losing streak. He's fighting Song Yadong. He's on the come up because Song is like, what, 24 still? Still a
Yeah.
baby. He's still really young. And then you got
26.
Yeah. And I think Peter Yan's like 30.
Peter Yan is 31. Yeah.
31, yeah. But like Yan has been where Yadong wants to get to.
That's right.
And then you got Gilbert Burns, another staple of the division. Like, bro, all these guys that you see, they've all been
true.
staples of their division, going up against guys on the come up that are going for to get to that next level. It's like Derek Brunson, bro.
No, you're 100% correct. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like when you look at Kevin Holland, Michael Page, same thing. Michael Page
Page
21-2.
a little different in the sense of Michael Page is a lot older than Kevin Holland.
He is.
And also he's coming in like he's been one of the better guys outside of UFC. Now he's fighting Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
And like, look, Kevin Holland's never been a top 5 guy because I feel like he don't take it serious enough. He likes like the showboating and the fucking around. That's what makes him such a fan favorite. Like, bro, he's one of my favorite fighters to watch. He's also one of the most frustrating fighters to watch.
Do you think he won that last fight,
Which one?
Kevin Holland? Where I forget who it was versus.
I
but
think it was
a
Madalena,
decision.
wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought so. And he like I felt like he beat him. I don't feel like at any point was Kevin Holland ever in trouble in that fight. He had controlled the fight from beginning to end.
Well, listen, it's
know what I mean?
anytime it's a split decision in MMA, both guys have a case, right? Like one
Sure.
judge saw it for you. I feel as if with how chaotic MMA judging and just combat sports judging in general is, I feel like the organization, if there is a split decision, they should get compensated for that. The fighter should. Because at least someone saw it. I'm not saying to get
for me.
So say yours is 100K, right?
Yeah.
100K to show, 100K win. Dude, if it's a split decision, I feel like
25.
yeah, give me something at least. And especially when it gets to a point where it's wild controversial.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how the fuck did Nick beat Josh in that fight?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then you're all distraught in the octagon and you're like, what? And the crowd is booing me.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
Like, another example, third mentioning for Jared Gordon when he fought Patty. Still waiting
yeah.
to this day for someone to tell me Patty won that fight other than Patty Pimblett.
Yeah, yeah.
So in that situation, I feel like the UFC should be like, hey, man. And look, again, maybe they do. I don't know.
They do they do a lot more bonuses than people think. Like they do locker room bonuses, and a lot of guys get that. And those usually are like 5 to 10,000.
But it's something.
Yeah, you get other things, but it's like even still, bro, they make dog food, and that's being frank. I don't have to go further into that. I've got a video about that. If you want it, go watch it. But yeah. They deserve to be paid more, for sure.
What do you feel about this card?
I love it. I just had I'm Red on my show last week, and he lives in Miami. He's actually not gonna go. I'm still like trying to figure out why. He's gonna make a real big thing about 300. But this card, I mean, Miami has been getting good cards the last few times they've had fights out there. But Sean O'Malley rematch versus Marlon Vera. Dustin Poirier versus Benoit St. Denis, like that already, those two fights by themselves are like, oh, that's a good card. But then, like we said, Kevin Holland, Michael Page, Gilbert Burns versus Madalena, Petr Yan versus, and then you get into the prelim and it's like, good God, that's in the prelim?
Yeah.
And like you said, Macy Barber, I still have to get Macy on the show, but like, just the name recognition, there's name recognition all the way throughout the card. And that is already by itself a great card.
Yeah.
When casuals can be like, oh yeah, I know that person. All the way down to like match 8.
Yeah.
That's a good card.
That's a mad good card. Yeah, I do want to spend some time because there's been 3 guys I've coined future champ.
Okay.
Shavkat at 170.
Yeah.
He's next. Topuria at 145.
Yeah, he just got it.
BSD, baby. Benoit St. Denis.
Mm.
Yo, he's going up against Dustin Poirier. This dude is an absolute machine. He has 1 legit loss in his career.
Yeah.
He has
one no contest.
He has 1 no contest. Believe it was like a clash of heads, or it was like out of the UFC. He took a short notice fight against Zaleski Dos Santos, and he lost a decision. But since then has just been a wrecking crew. He's going up against Dustin Poirier. He's coming off the head kick, knockout. Yeah. Dustin Poirier has never lost 2 fights in a row in his career. I found that really, really impressive for a guy that's been there, done that.
So long.
This is a 5-round main event, co-main.
Okay.
Which is, I wonder if Dustin requested that. Because St. Denis hasn't been in a 5-rounder.
Ooh, let's take him to the troubled waters.
Yeah, let's see, bro. Let's see what you're made of. Because, like, look, dude. I mean, if Benoit St. Denis stops him,
yeah,
with how like up in the air 155 kind of is, like Gaethje Holloway at 300 now makes no sense. Like it had already made no sense, but now it's even worse because like why not have Max fight Topuria? Gaethje goes up against Islam. Like, those are better fights. You just have 2 headliner pay-per-views the next 2-3 cards down the road, right? Like, there you go. There you have it. It's like you're doing this. And, they're going to have to take time off, and then it's going to stall the division. Like, I don't like this whole jumping around, match, fantasy booking fights. Like, it's cool, but then it kind of stalls everything else, and it fucks it up.
No, that's fair.
Benoit St. Denis, you have Charles and Arman fighting on the next card.
Yes.
St. Denis goes out there and gets a win over Dustin Poirier.
Especially if it's impressive.
And it's impressive. And, look, on the flip side, this is a massive step up for Benoit St. Denis, too.
Yeah.
Because Dustin has only fought top 5 guys and champions for the last, 8 years?
Yeah. At least the last, I'd say 6 or 7 for sure.
Bro, without a doubt. And outside of the Chandler fight off the top of my head, because I remember it was like the 3rd fight on the MSG card last November, it's all been main events for Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
He could also get himself back in the title picture with a win. It's like, bro, you're derailing this hype train of Benoit St. Denis. Rogan has talked about him. Luke Thomas, Ariel Helwani, like everyone. I've been talking about him for months.
Nick Dais.
You know what I'm saying? On VSiN and on Veterans Minimum. I've just been out here. And this is the kind of thing, man. Like the whole theme with this card, bro, when you look at it and really digest it, it's the old versus the new.
Yeah.
And old, I mean, like they're still relatively young, but they've just been around for so long that they used to have sponsors on this shorts. Like that's how long they've been.
A lot of gatekeepers on this card. A lot. Because like you said, look, Gilbert
that are also, that are also like a fight away from a title again.
Yeah, for sure. Like Gilbert Burns, he goes out there and does something. Oh, okay, well, how many people are really in the conversation outside of Gilbert Burns?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Gilbert has had his opportunities, but one of those was short notice. You know what I mean? The one in Abu Dhabi was short notice. Like Gilbert has had his moments, but it's like he hasn't gotten a whole lot of, you know. I love Gilbert. Gilbert's one of my favorite guys in the whole organization. I love Gilbert, so I always cheer for him.
I want to ask you about the main event before we wrap up.
Yeah, sure.
How do you feel about O'Malley? Do you think he could be as big as a star as he makes himself out to be? Do you think that he is?
Well, he is a star. He's a megastar.
Right.
I feel, and this isn't Sean's fault, and this is I have to dodge the laser beams because you have a much bigger platform than me. So as far as everything that led to the fight with Aljo, you know, I had conversations with Aljo before that, and the biggest thing really, Aljo had been just a very active champion. He had fought a lot. He had fought 2-3 months prior to.
Yeah, he fought in May against Cejudo.
That's right. And the way that the UFC put him in positions to have to fight again, as if like he hadn't just fought. Oh, well, you have to fight Sean O'Malley, and he wasn't right. I felt that was really unfair. Again, that's not Sean O'Malley's fault. He went out, he performed, he put on a great performance, he won, he's now the champion. Can't take that away from him at all. What I can do, though, is say that he did fight a lesser version of Aljamain Sterling, and then not to give him an immediate rematch at the same time was like, that was some skullduggery tactics. That was real shaky at best.
Yeah.
But
nah, man. I mean,
I love Sean. All that said, I love Sean, but yeah, just in terms of the way that the fight organizations, the way that they match people up, and then, you know, they put other people on the shelf for months and months and months, but then, oh yeah, we need you to fight again. If you don't fight, we're going to take your belt, or we're going to start bad-mouthing you in the press.
Yeah.
Like you're not being a good champion when I've already fought so many times. I've mainlined so many already. Yeah, just things like that. It was just real shaky business.
The one thing I really like about O'Malley is when they asked him about the Peter Yan fight, and he said, I'm taking this fight now because it makes sense, because if I win, I'm the #1 contender. But I'm not going to fight a top 5, top 10 guy. Because remember, the knock on him was, yo, you're not fighting anyone.
Yeah.
He's kind of fighting cans until he fought Yan.
Yeah.
But he was also saying, yeah, I'm not going to fight him on a 20-20 deal, meaning 20 to show, 20 to win. Like, no, I'm going to fight for more money. Like, I'm a prize fighter. That's what I was like, yo, you know what? I kind of fuck with that. And then he won me over in the Yan fight because he wasn't arrogant on the mic. He said, hey, man, I got to go back and watch it. I feel like I won, but, you know, it was close, as opposed to him being like, yo, I smoked this dude. It's like, you got to be a little self-aware in there. So I kind of like that. And this matchup with Vera, it's a tough matchup, man. Vera's another very frustrating fighter because not the knock on him. Well, the knock on him is that he's a slow fighter and he'll drop round 1 and 2 to you, and then he'll just outpace you because this dude runs like a marathon every day or some crazy shit, like 15 miles a day he runs. And the cardio and the pace that he pushes is what makes him great in the later rounds. But then, dude, with judging, like, bro, you can't just be giving out rounds. I feel like that's the worst thing that you could do, especially with how, like, bro, the judging so far this year has been really wacky.
100%. You literally, you can't just give it away.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you lose one, okay, but you gotta at least make it questionable. You know what I mean? Make somebody at least think about it. But yeah, a lot of these guys, especially too, and I can't remember if you and I talked about this on your show or not, but like you see it a lot. I see it a lot when it's fighters that have fought mains and they fought for 5 rounds and then they go back down to 3, and it's like, hey, bro, like,
yeah, that's the worst. Yeah,
you don't have this extra round to just give it away. Like, you know what I mean? Like Henry Cejudo, he like versus Merab, like, hey, bro, Like, you do remember there's only 3 rounds. Like, Merab's out here. You know what I'm saying? He started off decent, but then, like, he just faded. And it was like he was looking to find more time, and it's like, the fight's over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, that's a good point. Whenever they go from 5 to 3 rounds, that's why I'm curious with the co-main about if Dustin's team, I want to look into that, if Dustin's team was like, yo, we'll fight this guy, because we know what you're doing, UFC. Like, when you're a fan and you know this long enough, you know that they're trying to use Dustin Poirier's name as he just beat Dustin.
That's right.
Right? They want you to get over on him, to use a wrestling term. And I wonder if Dustin Poirier was the one to say, like, yo, I'll take that fight because I know what you're doing, but I want that shit 5 rounds. As a co-main, no belts, no nothing. It's not even really number 1 contender, technically.
Yeah, it's like,
let's say Armin and Charles is.
This is unheard of from the UFC for sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun, man. I do think that, you know, I'm leaning towards O'Malley retaining. I'm leaning towards BSD just because I have to. Just because I've coined it. Like, you know, it's not often, man, where I wish I had way more money to bet, like, with Topuria.
Yeah.
Topuria was plus 110, and I couldn't believe it, bro. I couldn't believe it. I went on VSiN. I talked about it in the Discord on Patreon. I was like, man, we got to throw, like, a max bet. A max bet for me is, like, $300.
Yeah.
And that's what I put on Topuria. But I was like, I wish I put on more, bro.
Yeah,
I was so confident.
You felt it.
Yeah.
You want to go down the card, just the main card right quick? And
Yeah, let's give our picks. We'll go back and forth. All right, Jan and Yadong.
Yadong.
Ooh, I'm going Jan.
Okay, all right.
Burns and Madalena.
Give me Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm going with Gilbert too. Holland versus MVP.
Kevin can't lose again, but he probably will. You're going, Paige.
I'm going.
You have to.
Yeah, I'm going MVP just because Kevin might just like be checked out. You just don't know.
Kevin's my friend. I have to. I can't pick against him. I've played ball with him. It is what it is.
Kevin Holland is the man that is responsible for me diving into the pool in the beginning of the intro because he was the last guy on the subathon.
Okay.
That turned $22 into $2,100.
Okay.
So Kevin Holland by Darce will forever be for the brand. But
There
I'm going to
you
go with MVP. I'm going with Benoit Saint Denis.
I've got to go with the diamond. I feel like he's still searching for his reasons to stay, like because he keeps kind of flirting with retirement.
Yeah,
but I feel like certain fighters, especially with this being like you said, an up and coming fighter, and then I'm the gatekeeper now.
Yeah.
Like he's probably a little bit perturbed. And
that's a good word.
And yeah, I think he wins. I think he might even knock him out in the second round.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. I'm gonna go with O'Malley retaining.
I am too. I think especially because that first fight was, I won't say controversial, but that was still a very young Sean. I think he shows him what being a champion looks like. I think it's quick. I think it's quick.
And I think O'Malley hasn't even peaked yet.
Yeah.
Where I think Vera kind of did.
Yeah. Sean's 29. I didn't realize he was that old now.
Yeah.
He's gotten older.
Well, he's been around since he was like 22, 23
that's what,
on the Contender. Well, before it was Contender, whatever it was with Uriah Faber and Snoop Dogg. That's what went crazy. But man, if you're a casual fan, bro, like this is why I always say that Dana White owes me money because I've told so many people about watching UFC pay-per-views and especially being in person is the greatest experience that you get as a sports fan. And there's someone that's been to Super Bowls. I've been to a bunch of NBA games, NBA playoff games in MSG, which like the atmosphere is just crazy. I've been to a Stanley Cup Finals game when the Rangers went. Yeah, so I've been to like events, but nothing beats a UFC pay-per-view.
Really? You think that?
Yeah. I think it's the #1 sporting event, and it's the best bang for your buck. For what you get, you're there for, mind you, I'm there from the first fight.
Yeah.
You're there for 5-6 hours. The pacing is great.
Yeah.
Yo, I got to go get beers. I got to go take a piss. Whatever it is I got to do, I'm not missing anything. It's the best bang for your buck. And I would argue sometimes when the event does deliver and you leave satisfied, you're saying to yourself like, man, we only paid $300 for these tickets.
Yeah.
But then there are other times where you're like, fuck, man, we paid $300 for these tickets.
I got hoed.
Yeah. But for the most part, I think UFC is the best in-person sporting event.
NBA Finals, No, I never been to. You know what? No, I have been in a Stanley Cup final. I went to my Caps. I didn't go to the game, but I was in the arena. I made it. I snuck into the arena somehow. That's a story for another day. When we won in 2018. But over a Super Bowl, man, that's tough. I don't know if I'm giving it over the Super Bowl.
And mind you, bro, I've been to Super Bowls that I saw my team win, and I saw just regular ones.
You went to the Super Bowl when the Giants won?
Yeah, both of them.
Bro, there's no way possible that a UFC event touches the feeling that you had that day.
All right, I might be lying.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, bro, you come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now. You overselling.
So the caveat is if you watch your team win the Super Bowl too.
Yeah,
then
there's no way.
That's very different. Yeah.
I would be drunk. Like I would be literally on cloud 11 for months. I'm after UFC, I'm going to the club. It's not that big a deal. Like I'm moving on with my day. That right there, nobody. Those pictures live a lifetime. Matter of fact, you need to send some of those pictures out. I need to see some of those.
Fuck yeah, bro. I'm in tears.
Oh, that's good stuff. See, exactly. Like there's literally you forgot. You must have forgot.
It's been a minute, bro. I've been sitting through fucking 4-win seasons for a decade, so it's been hard, bro. That's why I don't remember.
Yeah, I see.
That's why I don't remember. I need that feeling back. You know what I'm saying?
I gave it to you just right now. Whoa.
Yeah. Hey,
whoa. And then I finished with that. That's
Hey, man, this was fun. Yeah, I really appreciated the combo in the beginning.
Of course.
It's one of the coolest things about like the off season with the content. You get to have a little more flexibility, and some of these conversations are really dope. So I appreciate your time. Let the people know where they could find you and the stuff you're working on.
Always the American Fan 365. Actually, this is my home studio, so I didn't have to go too far for this one, but real good interviews that are coming up. Just had some, as I mentioned before, Randall Cunningham, then I'm Red. Working on a couple baseball players, maybe Dexter Fowler. Before he leaves town, and got a couple irons in the fire. We'll see.
At Nick Dais Tenors, you can find me all things Veterans Minimum or at Veterans Minimum, and we'll catch you guys next time.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.